Welcome to Mark Bajerski YouTube channel. Bajerski, Bajerski. School, Bajerski. At home, Bajerski. Oh, it's just a name. I keep telling my children, change your name if you want. Honestly, it won't make any difference. A name's just a name. You're far more than a name. A name limits you, puts you in a box. You're not Nico Bajerski. You're not China Bajerski. You are infinite, powerful, magic, awareness. Don't limit yourself. That's why I have no time for names. People think I'm ignorant. Oh, I went for a session with him and oh gosh, he didn't even know my name. He couldn't even remember who I was. A week later, because that's not important. I feel you. I feel your power. I don't need to know your name. I feel you. Interesting days. The amount of conversations I've had in the past 2 weeks have been really interesting with psychics, healers, some amazing people out there who contacted me regarding what my perception is, my thoughts, my feelings of what's going on right now. In-depth conversations we've been having and trying to put the pieces together. The problem is you can't put the pieces together because the whole point of a deception is you try to not reveal any of those pieces. You try to hide them. You try to conceal them. You try to trick and manipulate. Therefore, nobody has the pieces. Therefore, nobody knows. Therefore, the chaos continues. All along, that chaos was created deliberately. It's fascinating because for all of these years, I've sat in front of people with a knowing. How did you know that, Mark? I don't know. I just feel it. Well, if you don't know it, then you mustn't be any good. Well, what do you mean by that? I mustn't be any good because I don't know what I'm doing? Does that make it wrong? If I don't know what I'm doing, if I'm not in control of that, does it make me, I don't know. What does it make me if I don't know? But didn't you just said that I know and I knew what was going to happen to you and I predicted it and gave you. You know, when I used to read for certain people, they used to sit in front of me and I used to say, you know, there's two things in life that I find fascinating. The first one is a deep inner knowing of what we know and a deep inner knowing that we choose not to know. And when I sit in front of people and I speak to their soul, they already knew. So I wondered, why did you actually come in the first place? And how many times did I ever say to my thousands of clients, why have you just wasted €80 or €120 on a reading? Why have you just wasted all that money? I used to get upset. And they used to say because I needed the confirmation. And I'd say, okay, I kind of accept that. It was difficult a lot of the times because I used to sit there and have this knowing that they were eventually going to come to me with terrible news. And I used to say to Spirit, why? Why is it that I can see them laying down on the healing bed crying, saying, why didn't I listen? And Spirit always said free will, whispered free will, free will. And I said, well, how can I help? And they always used to say, you can't interfere with free will. Meaning that you can't push, you can't force. You can only gently remind and confirm. And that was a real painful thing for me, for many people. And sure enough, I'd read and say, if you continue with what you're doing, there is a strong chance that you'll be on this healing bed in 6 months or 3 months or in 9 weeks. And if you change your way from this moment, there is a chance, a very strong chance, that you will heal your body and you won't be lying on the bed. Looking back now, I can honestly say 95% of those people didn't listen. And 95% of those people came back and they were on a healing bed and moved into the light. And they cried and they said, why didn't I listen? And I used to say, I don't know. And then I used to cry with them, and I'd go and sit down in the mountains and say, I'm confused. They came, I gave them a reading, they left, and now they're back again and they didn't listen. Why do I have to suffer this pain? It's frustrating. It's upsetting. It's heartbreaking. What is the point of all of this? Again, Mark, free will. You give them the choice. It's up to them. You know, there was a point when I was so upset and I saw what was happening with one lady who I cared for, and I remember shouting. For the first time, shouted at her, are you listening to me? Are you listening? It didn't help. She left and continued doing what she normally does, until she came and lay down on the bed and started crying and saying, the doctor said, I've got weeks to live. I didn't need to say anything because I knew she didn't follow the instructions of spirit, not of me, of spirit, of their family in spirit, saying, you know, there's a chance you can spend a little bit more time here in happiness and joy and free from suffering. But now you're about to experience the suffering not only of the pain, the physical, but of all your family, your fear and worry of leaving your family, which to me was heartbreaking. Somebody said to me, I thought you were a healer, Mark. And I said, I thought I was too. Why are you so upset over what's going on? Why are you crying? Because I was crying for a few weeks not so long ago. And I sat and thought about it, because I know that we don't die. I know that we move out of this body and the spirit is still as beautiful and strong and powerful. You can't kill that spirit when this physical disappears and deteriorates or gets hijacked by poisons or illness. So, and it never actually upset me thereafter. So when the client would lie down and I'd know straight away that the cancer has entered into the body or something has happened to them and they were about to move into the light in the next few days or weeks, I'd hold their hand and be with them through the whole of the process to keep them strong and ready to move into the light and back home, which was always a beautiful process to me. I never got upset about that. You know, beautiful Shirley on the wall there, I was there the days before she moves into the light. Penelope, Brian, those people on the wall everywhere, and all the other people that I was there with. That was lovely. That was beautiful, because they were going home. No more pain and suffering, only joy, love and happiness. All seeing, all knowing. So why are you so upset, Mark? And I said, it's a bit like sitting down in front of a billion people, knowing at that point, if they don't follow through by the message of spirit to say, don't do that, then I know what the future holds for many people, if not all. And that could be very much traumatically a trauma, suffering, illness, a sever of spirit, and many things, what the future is about to bring for many people. So I was crying for the future and what I saw what would happen to many people once it's done. And it's done, and we get on with it, and we do our best to heal and strengthen, of course. But we're at a point now where something's really becoming evident to me. And it's not just about the world grid. It's not just about the 4+1G that is laid out everywhere. That is all part of a sinister plan to control, manipulate, and to track. It's more, and I haven't been able to put my finger on it. I've been meditating, looking, observing, trying to see, going to all of these death towers and feeling and trying to understand things. Still couldn't put my finger on it. And then all of a sudden, I recall a video that I thought I need to watch again. And it was Barrie trower. And I listened really carefully. And then another video popped up in my mind. Jordan Maxwell. And I scrolled and tried to look for the video. It took me hours. I found it. And I'm like going through for 2 hours, and there it is. That's the point, because I'm having to listen to this again, all again. There it is. Same. And then I thought, that's it. That's what it is. I think I know what it is now. And it makes sense. And it feels absolutely right. So I'll share it with you. I've been right before, but I've also been wrong. That's a fact. Barrie trower made a video to this gentleman, and as they were chatting, if you don't know who Barrie trower is, please, I'll put a link underneath and listen to just some of his videos. Barrie was saying, many years ago, they needed to invent something that would basically bring people to an energetic level of non-awareness, of a kind of blur and a frequency that would interfere with the brain waves. So he goes into detail and says that the TV is not just a TV as you would see it as a screen. He said 2 things are happening with the TV. There are all of these little tiny things floating around, and they come together to create images. But what isn't known is that there is a gun in that TV pointed right at you. And it's of a frequency. And the only way you could understand it is that when you buy a TV, you feel tired and you feel like falling asleep. You feel like doing nothing. There is a reason why they created that frequency. They wanted to dumb down humanity. They wanted to send a frequency to the brain that would shut off a certain part of the brain wave that doesn't function correctly anymore. It doesn't think, it just observes, digests, listens, and is being programmed. That's why they call it a program. So when you watch the screen, just like this screen, it's doing the same thing. It's shooting an energy at you which is making you submissive, making you weaker, making you a little bit tired and a bit zombified, and you're just watching. And there's a reason for that, a very deep and very dark and very sinister. Many years ago they called it bread and circuses. Keep the crowd happy with food and entertainment. Nothing's really changed, but now a frequency is being shot into you. And that frequency is not only dangerous, but is extremely addictive. And if you believe that I'm wrong, then you take your phone away from yourself or take your phone away from your children and see what happens. And then tell me it's not addictive. So I figured that one thing out that I remembered. And that makes sense. And then I realized that when all this started to happen, all of this lies and manipulation and all of these, frightening things that were being said about we're all going to die and look at all these dead bodies and people are on machines and they're all dying and blah, blah, blah. And there was this energetic energy that was pushed out into the screen, the black screen. You were all watching it. And then I thought the energetic frequency that Barrie Trower talks about is not just now a submissive energy and frequency, but it's also attached to fear frequency. So it's got fear attached to it. It's got a negative energy, a fear energy, a control energy, and an addictive energy all at once. And if you listen to Barrie says, oh, listen, this has been going on for decades. This frequency can be targeted to a human being, and they can even put frequencies into their ears and you can hear people talk. If you want to target the eyes, you can frequency a certain laser, which is the same. It's the same energy, and target your heart, your liver, your kidneys, your ovaries, anything. So frequency is used as a weapon, and 5G is a weapon. The grid is a weapon. It may be used for good, but it can be used for bad. So then I got thinking, okay, these two geniuses said that and it makes sense. And Barrie Trower's been in this business. This is his job. This was his work many years ago. The guy is a beautiful human being. He doesn't charge for his work. He doesn't talk and get paid for it. He won't allow it. He stands in front of kings and queens and judges and stands with white papers, all sorts of papers to try and defend the fact that these telecommunication companies are a beast. They're dangerous and they know it. And he wants to fight them. You can't fight this company which is now globally 5G. You can't fight them. No country can. They're trying, but they can't because they signed deals. And the deals were, we're going to pay you a fortune if you allow us to put 5G everywhere. So they signed it, but what they didn't realise was what they were signing, they couldn't unsign. And then eventually people like Barrie Trower and many others were saying, something's very wrong with this 5G. Something is very wrong. Birds are dropping down. People are getting cancer. Things are happening which is so bad that the wildlife and everything is just, it's not good. And people like Barrie Trower presented evidence to say that this is actually a weaponized system. So when kings of countries and powerful people found out, they went to look at the contracts and they found that in the contract they could sign off, but only if they paid all the money that they were going to receive. And I think the main point was all the money that the 5G technology companies were going to make from that moment on, the government had signed to say that they would have to reimburse them with all of that money, meaning trillions and trillions. I put the pieces together when I started to realize that I couldn't figure out why people were still submissive and almost like drug addicts to line up for an experiment that everybody was shouting, we know nothing about it other than what's inside it. And what's inside it is nanoparticles. What? Is so many different heavy metals and so on. And like, have you read what's inside this? Hang on, guys. Listen. Before the experiment, they injected all of these animals and they all died. And nothing. And no matter what I was saying, nobody was listening. And I'm outside looking. But the masks don't work. Science says the masks don't work. On the box, it says these do not work for viruses. So that is basically what it looks like to a virus of a pinhead going through. It just goes straight through. But nobody's listening. Adam, what's wrong with everybody? I'm looking at myself. What's wrong with me? Is there something wrong with me? Am I actually missing something? And then I realised, no, Mark. They were rushing to put this 5G up so fast. When all of this was happening, they were putting them up everywhere. And then I started to put the pieces together. Could it be? Is it at all possible that not only is it a TV, but the frequency that the 5G, the satellites, and every single one of this grid energy has now created an energy to bypass people's common sense? Has it done what the TV did to send people asleep? Is it even more sophisticated in the bioweapon that has actually now created zombies that they do not see, only believe? And what they're told is an addiction to do because it's connected with a frequency of fear. Is there a wave that is it's hypnotizing every single human being all the time? Is it possible that the reason why people are doing something that people like me are so confused that they just believe in anything, could it be that there is something so sinister that the world is being hypnotized by new technology, that they are absolutely sending waves to put something in the brain and change the frequency of the brain to be submissive, to follow orders and not question? Is it possible, and I put this to you, is it possible that you could have been one of those people who, without even knowing, I don't know why I did it, I just did it. I just felt I needed to do it. Could it be that they bypassed something within your brain and that you just went because you were so frightened that you could die of something that only touches 1 to 2% of the world, but yet you run because you think it could be you? Could it be? Could it be that there is a connection to the grid, to the 5G, and to this pulse energy that people just do things that they never thought they could do. I'll put something else to you now. There is something that's been going on for many, many years that lots of people don't know about. And it's always the sinister system that always tries to create something which is devious and dark, because that's the criminal system. That's how it works. And within that system, they're always trying to bring science and new technology. And it's been going on for years. We know this when we study it. We know about HARP. We know about DARPA. But do we know about MK Ultra? Is it possible that a company so devious that it practices on human beings to send frequencies into their minds, to change them, to believe in that they need to go and do the most horrific things to people? Is it possible that MK Ultra actually mastered and created something so devastating that they found out that now they have the weapon that can make anybody believe anything? Could it be that all these companies aligned together to create a global new frequency that attacks vulnerable, beautiful souls into doing things that they don't know why they did it? The question I put to you is, why is it that those who are in such pain and suffering now all of a sudden are crying to me saying, why did I do it? Why is it that those same words are being used now? Before, it was an addiction. It was smoking. It was drinking. It was legal drugs. It was illegal drugs. It was sugar. It was eating excess foods, non-foods. It was drinking tons of Coca-Cola. It was drinking tons of Red Bull. That is an addiction. But could it be this is the same frequency that people are addicted to their phones, that is also the same frequency that makes you addicted to wanting to save your life by going for a vaccine? And then when you come back to me and say, I can't see, or look at this, what's in my discharge, why can't I feel anything? What's wrong with me, Mark? And I say, why did you go? Well, I don't know. I just felt I needed to go. But didn't you know? Didn't you hear what I said? Yes, I did. But I still went. So it's like a nightmare back again for me, guys. It's like a nightmare back. It's back again. I stopped doing readings years ago, and one of the reasons why is because it was too stressful. Because I knew I would read for somebody and they wouldn't listen. Just like when I do videos and say, look, these are the things that can help you if you want to lose weight, if you want to be healthy. Most people just love the videos but never do anything. Why do they always, why is the always quick option? Yeah, line up, get a jab, it's all done, you'll all be fine. That's easy to get up and just go for a jab, that's it. But if I said to you, this is a lifelong path, journey for you to get up every morning, exercise, eat healthy and stop taking all of those bad stuff, stop watching the MSM. Oh no, can't do that. Stop that. What you mean? Stop eating meat, fish, stop eating, Stop it. Stop sugars. What, you mean chocolate? You mean, just forget it. Forget it. Just give me the jab. Okay. So I put this to all my friends. Could it be it wasn't your fault? Could it be that you were duped? That you were hijacked? That you were hypnotized with a sophisticated, new, lethal weapon? MK Ultra, DARPA, HARP, CERN, all of these companies coming together to create something that on one hand looks very plausible, which is normally the case. Always feed them bread and circuses. But all underneath the surface, the foundations, the strength behind all of this has got nothing to do with what you're seeing on the surface. But what they're creating is something that one day is going to be so devastating to mankind, taking away all your freedoms, not being able to walk out of that door without being watched and tested to see if you're ill, even though it's nothing to do with a testing to see if you're ill, giving you credit, saying you can or you can't do this, which they're doing now every day. All that freedom that you once had to breathe and to talk, which you can't now because everything is recorded. Even when your phone's off, even when your fridge is switched off, it's recording you, it's listening to you. Your television is watching you. All of these things are all connected to all of the companies that I speak of. All the technical giants, the technocrats, they're all in control of everything that you believe should be private in your life. Do you know how many people don't talk anymore because they're frightened of their phone next to them? Do you know how many companies don't take their phone into meetings now? They put them in the safe. They have no technology anywhere when they go into a meeting. Did you know that everything that you say, everything that you do is recorded? Everything. And it's sold to the highest bidders. China, governments, companies who want to buy all your information. It's available. You've signed your life away. You think you're free. You think your life is private. You are an open book. Every word that comes out of your mouth, every thought you have soon will be recorded and held against you. They've already said in a few years that you will be happy with nothing. That is their aim. That is their goal. If you don't believe me, research it. The end game is for you to have nothing and be happy. That is ultimate brainwashing. But it sounds lovely, Mark. It sounds spiritual. They know how to hijack spirituality. It's all the apple. Here, take it. It's beautiful. Have a great day, guys. Food for thought. Yeah, I may be crazy. Who knows these days? Have a beautiful day.